Chance, goal, brilliant! Just fantastic by Nicola Barella. And he does it! And Italy are champions of Europe! Forza Italia!
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to Season 6 of Serie Sit-Down, World Football Index's podcast where you can get your Calcio to go. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank, with some spotted cal all the way from Wisconsin, courtesy of you. Thank you.
It made it to you. Good,
good.
And it's as every bit as advertised, right?
It is. It's very good. Thank you. I appreciate
role
it.
Reversal here. You're drinking the beer, and I'm drinking the water this time. So,
what does this world come to? What does this world come to?
Yeah, it's all upside down, isn't it? So,
this is what happens when we meet in person. We mess up.
Things change. Yeah, I'm a bad influence on you because now you're drinking beer on the podcast.
You are.
So, welcome to preview Della Madonnina, again, season 6. This is episode number 196. We've tolerated each other this long. You guys have listened to us this long. You continue to listen to us. We might as well keep it up. We might as well continue to provide you content. We know our wives don't listen to us. So we might as well be able to listen to each other. We have you covered, top to bottom. We'll give you some predictions. We'll give you some commentary. And to do this, we got some help. We always like having our previews involving folks from another Italian football podcast that we have a lot of respect for. Let's bring in our guest, a football journalist, runs Sempre Intercom, at Sempre Intercom. He is 1/3 of the Italian football podcast. We might have another third of that Italian football podcast join us at some point. We will see. Has done exclusives for Football Italia, Serie FFC, and in the past has written for DiMarzio and Goal, among others. He is earning his 4th cap with us on Serie Sit-Down, and it has been way too long between caps, but we say welcome and we say ciao to Nima Tavalli.
Hi, guys. Good to be with you. Yeah, I guess it's the poker, I guess you can call it.
There you go. There you go.
Serie lingo, yeah.
Yep.
It's the poker episode.
Absolutely. I like that. I like it.
Okay, so welcome back, Nima. Just kind of a little bit of background, how things are going at Italian Football Podcast. We'll give you this time right now to just go ahead and plug your show for our listeners.
Well, thank you very much. No, I mean we do a minimum of 2 episodes every week. One review show, obviously, during the season and during the Euros. We do like a review show on the Monday, and then we do an interview show usually on the Thursdays. But for the past couple of weeks, given that it's been the off season, we've done more like Mercato focus episodes on different clubs, and depending on the talking point, like we did one with Diego Fornaro for Torino. We had Gianluigi Longari from Sport Italia to do an overall. We had Nicolo Schira on, etc. And then we had, obviously, because of the deals between Chelsea and Inter, we had Naz Kinsella on from Goal. We try to we mix it around. I mean, during the Euros, we had a great Euros. We had former Swiss international Ramon Vega, Alex Manninger. We had Joe Calzaghe on. So yeah, we try to mix it up. I mean, it's one of the good things that we like doing with the interview things is mainly people who are connected to Calcio somehow, but also it's fun to bring people like Poli Marinaggi and Joe Calzaghe on, who are boxers, world-class boxers, but who are big Calcio fans. I mean, we had Aldo Zilli, who's a famous chef in the UK. He's a massive Calcio fan, so it's always nice to bring people on to talk, maybe something, talk Calcio with them. They appreciate that, and so do we.
Awesome stuff. Let's just jump right into this preview because last season, certainly was one of the more competitive, one of the more compelling, seasons in Serie A that we can remember, at least for as long as Richard and I have been doing this podcast, but certainly even longer. Your Inter ultimately ran away with the Scudetto, breaking Juventus's 9-season streak. So I want to start at the top with Inter, the defending champions. Gone is Antonio Conte. Achraf Hakimi gets sold to PSG. Romelu Lukaku now is a Chelsea player. Milan had to endure this some 12, 13 years ago when three key players or three key figureheads leave, when it was Ancelotti, when it was Kaká, and when it was Maldini retiring. And you have to expect some sort of transition period. Now, I'm looking at it from my perspective, and I'm not looking at this and saying Inter are screwed. I think that they've regrouped nicely here with some of the additions. Would you rather have Lukaku and Hakimi and Conte? Absolutely. But Simone Inzaghi has proven to be a very good tactician at this level. You bring in Edin Dzeko, who is maybe not as dynamic at this stage of his career as Romelu Lukaku, but he's a veteran goal scorer. And Denzel Dumfries is a player I wanted in Milan a couple of seasons ago. So this might not have turned out to be so bad for Inter, but you are an Inter man, so give us your perspective.
Well, I mean, it's what we saw under Antonio Conte last season, from February onwards, when everything clicked, and he was able to get Eriksen and Perisic into that, by lowering the defensive line. He got them into the 3-5-2, and he was able to, his calcio verticale, from defending in 3-5-2 to attacking in a 4-2-4, with Lukaku, Lautaro, Hakimi, Perisic overloading teams. That was fantastic football. That was masterclass. That was Antonio Conte's masterpiece. And that was something, that was football. The football Inter played was a football that, with a few more additions like Rodrigo de Paul, maybe Filip Kostic from Eintracht Frankfurt, that's a team that played in a way that could have competed to win the Champions League. But it's Inter. Even when Inter win the Scudetto, they have to create chaos. And they did. Because, with the way that Conte left Inter, it wasn't just about Hakimi being sold. I mean, I didn't believe a word they said when they said that they were only going to sell one big player, because the maths didn't add up. And maths is maths. They said they wanted to end the season on plus 80 net million, 80 plus 80 net transfer million, lower wages by 20%. There's no way that you could do that just with Hakimi. And also, they, I guess they were trying to avoid it by trying to cash in on Lazaro, João Mario, Nainggolan. Well, in this market, only the super rich have money. The middle clubs, nothing. So that was always a pipe dream. Didn't work out. João Mario, they could have cashed in on, but the chaos that ensued there. So they had no choice, and they got the maximum out of Lukaku. And now it's about, well, you say Edin Dzeko. Okay, well, Edin Dzeko works in the Serie A, sure. I think he'll give you 10, 15 goals, I think. But he can't be your starter.
Okay.
There's just no way he can be. He can't be the guy that you build around at 35. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Lautaro Martinez will have to be the guy. They have to extend his contract. I mean, he has Inter over the barrel now. They have to give him whatever he wants because he's only got 2 years left on his contract. Brozovic as well. They have to decide that, are we done with this guy and we run out the contract, or do we extend it and he continues another 3 years, which I think he has in him, and he ends his career at Inter at top level. I think that'll happen in the end. I think Brozovic is very happy at Inter. I think Inter are happy with him. But yeah, other than that, it's the usual craziness and madness and shit show. It's Inter. It's never boring. You can say that. you win the Scudetto, and it's basically fire and brimstone coming from everywhere and around the club. And it's only Inter can do this. Only Inter can end a 11-year Scudetto drought and 10-year trophy drought, and put their fans through the ringer in this way. I understand. I mean, there's a lot of things you can say about Suning. They should have sold in February. There was an offer by BC Partners. They didn't, because they were lured by the 300 million from the European Super League, which was, I mean, if you talk about chasing waterfalls, that was a full waterfall. Even in the best case scenario, if somebody in this pandemic, it comes and offers you 700-800 million to sell, you take it. You take it and you run. Especially given that you've invested 700 million into the entire project between buying the club for 200 million and the remaining part. And they screwed up. It's as simple as that. They effed up. Suning effed up. Suning's biggest mistake was not selling in February. They could have even structured the deal so that they could have finished the season and then formally handed over to BC Partners if that's what they wanted to do. That was, I'm sure that would have been a possibility, because obviously they felt that they wanted to drive this all the way into the finish line. That would have been fine, but instead they put all their eggs. They decided to go after the golden goose, which was the European Super League. And just like the fairy tale, when you chase golden geese, things don't end well. And they ended up having to take a horrible loan for 300 million euros from Oaktree and use their ownership of the club as collateral. Now, this puts them in an even worse position, because aside from the 200-300 million debt that the club already has, now they got to pay these people 300 million over 3 years, 11% interest, 10 to 13% interest, which is insane on 300 million euros. So they're gonna leave. I mean, today finally, it was quite obvious that they were just basing. It was this loan was putting a Snoopy Band-Aid on a gunshot wound, and that doesn't work. That only delays the inevitable, and the inevitable is that Suning will have to sell the club. And the sooner that happens, the better it is for Inter. And I think that what's going on is what they're doing basically with selling off the biggest assets is to kind of fix the finances, so that because this is how economists look. They don't care about potential revenue. They look at expenditure, money in. That's what they evaluate when they do. They don't give a crap about anything else. We can disagree with that, but that's just how the world works. And that's what they're doing. They're cleaning up so that the numbers look good, so they can maximize the how much money they get when they finally sell the club. I hope to God that, and I'm not even religious, I hope that the sooner someone comes in, they buy the club, they're able to get rid of Oaktree completely. And once that's out, pay back that loan over the 3 years as soon as possible, and then proceed to build the new stadium, which is the most important thing that Milan and Inter can do. That's all the focus. Inter and Milan have one job now: build a new stadium. Period. Full stop. After the COVID, this post-pandemic era, which will come, there's going to be investments are going to be needed, and Italy will be screaming after them because they need jobs. I mean, it's decimated every economy in the world. So I think they'll be much more open to cooperation, so to speak, than they've been previously. And I think that that's the main thing, because that's the way they can maximize their revenue. Hopefully this new TV deal, that's kind of being revived again, the creating a media company and selling 10% of it off to CVC, or basically Bain Capital, and then they use their job is to monetize the league over the world. That is the only way La Liga and Serie A can compete with the Premier League. It's as simple as that.
So Nima, it's been up until the last 24 hours, it's probably been more chaotic than good for Inter. Obviously, the signing of Inzaghi was a plus, but up until last 24 hours, 48 hours, it's been sell almost, right? And then we got Dzeko. He is what he is. But Dumfries, I think, is a talent that could do very well in Serie A, either right back or right wing or what have you. Do you foresee? And obviously, we hear rumors about possibly walking Correa if Lotito drops down his price. Do you foresee Inter, given the current situation, economic situation, that they'll be able to bring in more bodies? I mean, on top of Dumfries and Dzeko?
I think they have to. I think there is a real, there's a real risk that they don't, but then all hell will break loose, literally, because
I argue you guys went from top, the Scudetto to now you're looking at maybe top 4 if you're lucky, depending on what's going on.
It depends. So. I mean, it depends. I mean, yeah. I think they have to. I think Marotta's done his best here. Sure, they've lied a lot, both of them, both him and Ausilio. But Ausilio, that's his job at Inter. It's to go out and lie. He's like the Roger Stone of Inter. Like, he's a hatchet man. Like, all he does is he goes out and lies. That's literally his job. But it's okay, because it's his job, so you don't take what he says seriously, and you know that his job is to go out there and muddy the waters and run the party line, and that's his job, and that's fine. But with Marotta, this no. I understand why he lied about only one player being sold, because it would have been tactically stupid. When you're negotiating, to go out and say we're desperate, then you wouldn't have gotten 150 million for Lukaku. You wouldn't have gotten 70, 80, 60, 70, 70, 80 million for Hakimi. So I understand why he did what he did, but look, I think he's too clever to, in the end, not bring in someone. I think the worst case scenario, if everything goes pear-shaped, Luka Jovic or Moise Kean will join Inter on the season loan. I think that's pretty much a given. I think, but I think Satriano's going to stay. It's quite clear that they want to keep him. He's impressed incredibly during preseason. Dzeko, Lautaro, Alexis. So you're looking at one more striker. Correa is who Simone Inzaghi wants, and I've always been of the opinion that you should try to make your coach as happy as possible. Mm-hmm. Antonio Conte was allowed to build Inter in his image. It ended really well, even though he whinged throughout the entire period that he didn't get what he wanted, even though he literally got everything he wanted. But Simone Inzaghi hasn't gotten anything. Denzel Dumfries, they had to sign him. They had no choice. They had no right wing back. Yeah, he's not gotten anything. And if he wants Joaquin Correa, I say give him Joaquin Correa. It's as simple as that. He wants to play a 3-5-1-1. He wants to alternate between a 3-5-1-1 and a 3-5-2. That's how he has always played. I think that's a good thing. When it comes to Denzel Dumfries, Dumfries is like this. It's a risk. I think all of Inter can be kind of, you can summarize it as in uncertainty. You don't really know. Dumfries can be a dud, but it can also be good. The step between the Eredivisie in Holland and the Serie A is giant. It's massive. Tactically, positioning, I mean, especially in that position that he plays, you have to understand the positioning. You have to, and he doesn't have any time. I mean, he literally just arrived. So he'll have to work really, really hard. So I don't expect to see him against Genoa. I hope not anyway. I want to give him some time to act, to get used to everything, and it's going to take some time. And I think it should be. I mean, people forget that Achraf Hakimi took like a couple of months before he got into it too. Yeah, he was a little bit of a liability in the beginning, and Antonio Conte worked on him, and he was willing to work. And Dumfries, that's the good thing when you bring in players with leadership qualities. Mm-hmm. He is hungry. He's not coming in here to act, thinking he's a superstar. He's coming in here to work. His attitude is, I'm hungry, I want to work hard. Like, this guy was captain of PSV. I mean, you don't become captain anywhere if you don't have certain qualities, and that's good. That means that the professionalism of the dressing room has not been compromised. Edin Dzeko is a consummate professional. Mm-hmm. Hakan Çalhanoğlu has adapted really well to the ambient that he's come to the environment that he's come to. So it's a little bit insecure. There's a little bit of an insecurity. I still think that they need to sign 2 players. They need to sign another. They need to bring in Correa, and they need to bring in another striker, and I wouldn't put it past them loaning in a striker on deadline day and signing Correa. Lazio need to monetize. As much as Lotito hates Inter and hates Simone Inzaghi, Correa wants to leave. He was supposed to go to PSG, but when they found out that they could sign Messi, they pulled the plug on that deal. And then so he has to monetize, and I think he will. I think he can be as stubborn as he wants. Lotito's impossible to deal with when he doesn't need to sell, but he needs to sell now, and reality is reality.
Yep. I made a note to just follow up on what you were saying about Asilio getting paid to lie. It just kind of reminds us of Galliani in his final years in his role at Milan. I think that he was just paid by Berlusconi to remind everyone that Milan was the most successful club. He pretty much said that throughout the banter era. And we're looking around and seeing guys like Kevin Constant in the team and just
Philippe Mexes. I wanted to talk to you guys about that as Milan fans. I don't know. I don't want to ruin your the way you guys the rundown on your show.
No, go ahead. We actually like good open discussions.
Okay, the Milanese clubs need to stop buying from the Rome clubs.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I include Romagnoli in that. Okay. It's just Mexes. I mean, if you run down the businesses that the Milanese clubs, both of them have done with the Rome clubs.
Yep. Genoa included, yeah, absolutely.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
Stankovic was good.
Yeah.
Defy was on a free transfer. Pandev was on a free transfer. Romagnoli's not been good. I mean, I think can we finally just stop? Can the scales come off everyone's eyes? And this isn't an anti-Milan thing. He's not good enough, and it's not just about Lukaku. He's just not good enough.
Yeah.
He might have been promising one day, but I mean, at what point do you stop being promising and you realize that this guy just maybe he's not this good? I think with Tomori and Kjaer, he doesn't get into that lineup.
Yeah.
And to be honest, given how Gabbia played last season, Gabbia was better.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. And then you look at, well, who do you go after then? Gabbia, who's young and your own comes from the youth team, or Romagnoli? Are you going to keep beating that dead horse? I mean, that's. I don't.
We know who's worth more. At least Romagnoli's going to be worth more. So at least to your point,
get something for him. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's the point I'm making. But I mean generally, looking down at the business from the Milanese clubs make with both Rome clubs, unless it's like the Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto, level players or Zaniolo, stop doing business with the Rome club. Sure. It's not pretty. It's not pretty reading when you look at it. I don't understand why they keep saving these people's asses. Right. Milan and Inter are some sort of charity shop that should just keep helping Lazio and Roma, and I don't understand why.
As big as these clubs are, they shouldn't be going up looking up for charity, like you said. They should go for the big name players, and that's not the mentality you think.
Cafu was excellent for Milan.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Stankovic, Pandev, they were great for Inter as well. But other than that, I mean, overall, we're talking 80-90% have been awful.
Yeah, for me, I think Cafu and Nesta from the Rome clubs for Milan were probably the two best buys.
Yep.
And
it's not even close.
No. And I don't count De Vrij and Pandev because they came on free transfers, much to the lamentations of Lotito. But other than that, it's Stankovic is for Inter, really.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you keep doing this. Yeah. Stop doing this to yourself.
Massimo Odo. The only thing that Massimo Odo was good for was he was really good at keeping the other team onside. He did not know how to align with his back four.
I forgot Massimo Odo.
To save his life. He could serve a ball.
Oh, my God.
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
He could serve a ball, but, man, he would be at least 2 yards behind the rest of the back line, and you see goals getting conceded. And they don't have the whole screen of the back four to see the run and the timing. All I need, Otto's playing on the right. He left him on side. I'm convinced.
This has turned into a therapy session for all of us here.
Stop buying players from the Rome clubs. Unless it's their stars.
Yeah.
Stop buying their crap.
Yeah.
Seriously, just stop it. And I really mean both Milan clubs.
Yeah. I agree.
Yep.
Mexes, what the hell was that? I mean, I remember that derby when he and Ranocchia were captains.
Oh my goodness, that was the downfall.
I died on the inside. It was like that used to belong to Maldini and Zanetti and Baresi and Bergomi, and then you have Mexes and Ranocchia, and it's like, ugh.
I hate to say it, that was the first and only derby that I turned off early. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah,
I couldn't watch it.
Yeah,
so it was unwatchable. I was there. It was goalless. I mean, the intro. I mean, the introduction to it. That and the best tifo or choreographer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
was the one Curva Nord made that went on for 15 minutes. You know, the Castello. The Castello thing and it was fantastic. It was the best experience I think I've ever had in a stadium. Like it went on for 10-15 minutes. It was theater, you know. They deserve so much better, you know what I mean, than what we had. And I really want us to not, you know, I don't want us to get back to that. I want the Milan clubs back, and I think Inter are in a, I think both clubs are in a good place, but I do worry for Milan. I don't want to like destroy your order of the show, but I do want to talk a little bit about Milan as well, because I am a little bit worried. Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to spoil what I mean, and listen, and there's still a little time left in the Mercato, you know, but spoiler alert, I don't have Milan in the top four, in my top four. Yeah. I can't do it with,
wow.
And I'll go into detail on this a little bit later, but with the burden of the Champions League, Europa League's a little bit different. I mean, you're playing against teams where you can play kids, you can get away with getting some results and scratching by and all of the other stuff. You Champions League, you're playing against the best players in the world, and you better have your best team out there. And we're going to have our best 11 playing every 3 days, which for most of these guys, they haven't done. And the squad, when I look at it, just isn't deep enough to cope with all of that. I mean, it's really very much like Lazio last season, you know, where, okay, Lazio found a way out of the group stage, but look what it did to them in the table in the long run. Okay, it hurt their chances to try to get back into top four. Atalanta has somehow figured out how to navigate and get to the knockouts and still reach Champions League places, and good for them. But Milan, as they're structured right now, they don't have the depth.
I think Milan's depth is better than it was last season, but I think the roof is a little bit lower, maybe not lower, but it's a little, again, the uncertainty, the unknown. Magnon, how good is he? You know, he was good in France, but can he do it in the Serie A? You know, you haven't replaced Çalhanoğlu. You haven't. I mean, Brahim Diaz is not Çalhanoğlu.
Unproven yet.
You're going to play. It's unproven. Exactly. I'm not saying he's bad. Thank you. Exactly. It's the uncertainty for me for both of these clubs. You don't know. It can be a massive success, but there's no certainty. And also Ibrahimovic. I mean, his injury. What's going on there?
Right. You know? Taking longer than we expected, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's 40. He's turning 40 soon.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I'm curious what the mindset of the Milanisti are right now. That, you know, how many of them really believe that Milan are going to go deep into Champions League? Because I don't. I think if they make it to the group stage or out of the group stage, that's a success for them. And this year, Agreed. I'm sure there's people out there who are like, "Oh, we're going to the semifinals." I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, Milan, they'll get out of the group stage if they don't have a group of death. You know, if they had like Inter the last couple of years, they're going to struggle. I think. You know, if they play some big dogs.
Milan are going to be in a group of death. They're going to be.
There could be many more group of deaths than in the past. I think there's a lot of good teams out there.
They're going to be in pot 4.
Look at pot 2. There's a lot of good teams in pot 2.
They're going to draw a champion of one of the top leagues, if not Chelsea, the holders. You know, and I think Villarreal gets to be a seeded team for winning the Europa League.
Isn't PSG in pot 2, right? Because they didn't win a title.
Pot 2. Real Madrid's in pot 2. Manchester City's in Manchester City. Excuse me, they're in pot 1. They
United's in pot 2, right?
Yeah, United's in pot. I mean, so
some big teams.
Milan will, just because of the brand name, be part of a group of death.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worry for Inter as well. I really do. I mean, I look at that and I'm thinking Inter are so gonna get PSG. Like it's just, I just see that totally happening. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think both of these clubs are. It would be nice if they could get something easy and be lucky. But you never know. I mean, again, I think Pioli's never been better in his career than he is right now at Milan. I mean, he's always struggled. I call it the Pioli high throughout his career. It goes up and it just crashes.
Yeah,
we call it the Pioli shelf life. So it's pretty similar.
No, but so far, you know, at Milan, he's been the Phoenix bird raising out of his ashes 3 times last season when things looked absolutely horrible. He changed his stuff around tactically and the team responded and they ended up actually deserved second place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you know, it was impressive to see. It was really impressive to see. But can he do it again? Like, that's the question. And Ibrahimovic, like, he takes a lot of your wages, and he's being like, when will he come back? Will he come back?
Sure. Let's before we jump into some of these other topics, let's touch on Juve. Allegri's back. You know, another. I'm probably giving away some of my top four already, but spoiler alert: I think they're going to win the title again this season
for sure, undoubtedly.
I haven't decided if I think this is going to be like close and they pull away, or if they're going to just start walking this thing from match day one. That's the thing that I'm still playing around with. I thought Juve would win last season by 8 to 10 points, and I got that horribly wrong. So,
last season I thought it was going to be tighter at the top, and it wasn't. Inter destroyed everyone else, but this season, Juve, like, did you see them against Atalanta?
Atalanta, yeah.
I mean, that is Allegri at his absolute peak. You know, no one can get near him when he's like this. I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, he's been out of the game for 2 years. Can he? What? Blah blah." Oh yeah, well, he's
been studying.
He's been studying for 2 years.
Yep.
Their midfield, if they get Locatelli, they're the only team that has not only not weakened, they've strengthened.
Yep.
And Locatelli and if they get Pjanic on a loan as well, I mean, the depth that's available to this guy's disposal, then they're even my dark horse to win the Champions League, because Chiesa and Kulusevski on the wings. I think Chiesa is going to be the MVP of this Serie A. And then that midfield with Artur Melo and Locatelli and the rest of them. And
that front three we saw the last game against Atalanta was pretty good. Ronaldo, Chiesa, and Dybala, they all work really well together, right? I mean, it was good stuff. So
no, he can, and his ability to adapt to every game when it matters the most, and completely outclass tactically his opponents is Allegri is. He's the guy to beat for sure.
Top of the crop right there.
Does it take getting Locatelli, getting Pjanic on loan to lock this in? I mean, you know, what circumstances do you guys see that maybe it's not Juve? I mean, I'm struggling. I can't find anybody challenging them.
I think Inter are the only ones that can, and the reason why I say that is if Inter's midfield, it's 37 goals and 21 assists that need replacing between Lukaku and Hakimi. Can you get that from the midfield and get Dzeko to give you 10-15 of those goals, and Lautaro to add another 5 to 8, and then the rest to come from the midfield, and Dumfries to get like 4 or 5 of those goals, then I think Inter can, because I think Inter will be more defensively solid, because people forget that they started the season leaking. Antonio Conte had some kind of identity crisis in the beginning and was
Korov.
I mean, he was doing, Antonio Conte had some, identity crisis in the beginning of last season when he was doing his Gasperini impression.
Yeah.
But when he snapped out of it and decided to turn to himself again, then that was by November, December, and then Inter looked solid defensively again.
Sure.
So I think Inter are going to be solid from the beginning. So I think they're going to concede less. But so for me, I look at this. I say for me it's Inter, if they can bring in another striker on loan and sign Correa, give Inzaghi what he wants. But yeah, I mean, other than that, Milan to me are just so, I don't know. Either they finish, either they go like last year and actually push for the title for half the season, or they will struggle. Like, I feel like there's no in between with them.
I think the chance that we have at seeing a team jump out the gates better than Juventus this season would be continuity and consistency, meaning Atalanta haven't changed really much, and you can't forget about them. Yeah, they didn't look that great against Juventus last game, but they have a lot of talent. They put a lot of pressure on Juventus in the last game. Even though they lost, there was a lot of pressure, and they will be there in the mix, I think. And if Milan, like you said, Nima, if they can get out to a hot start they've been there already for half a season, they felt that experience. If they can use that to their advantage and start the season the way they started last season, they have a chance. But you know, to beat Juventus or to beat Inter this year, you're going to have to be consistent throughout the entire season.
Exactly.
And the team that's been together the longest will have that better opportunity, because a team like Lazio or Roma, teams that are getting put together now, they're going to take time to get on board. And so, you know, that's where Juventus and Inter will have the advantage over them.
I mean, Napoli, for me, I think they're going to be there as well.
Yeah, don't forget Napoli.
Just give him a left back. I don't understand what the hell he's doing. Like, I understand, you know, come on, just give the guy a left back. That's all he's asked for. All he said is, don't sell my team, bring me a left back. That's all Spalletti said.
Palmieri's, they've been flirting with him, right?
Yeah, but you got to drag that thing over the finish line at some point, right?
Yep.
And he just gives Spalletti what he wants. He's only asked for one player.
Right.
All he said is keep the team together and bring in a player and just do it. Like, just get on with it, you know?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, just kind of to follow up on a couple of things with Napoli, I'm amazed that Fabian is still there. I thought that he would be one, certainly moving to Spain, moving back in the summer, maybe possibly being somebody that goes to Real Madrid with how that midfield is aging. There was some consideration that could possibly happen. You know, Spalletti's involvement means great things for his strikers, because strikers thrive in Spalletti's system. They've always have, and
so do fullbacks.
Sure.
I mean, Emerson Palmieri was basically a Spalletti creation. But that's the thing about Spalletti. He doesn't, you know, people. I don't want to say people, but people who have a very superficial understanding of the game, don't rate Spalletti. But if you look at the players he's developed, I mean, Brozovic he made Brozovic who he is.
Yep.
By getting to him. You know, he's probably the only one who's crazy enough to understand what goes inside of that Brozovic's brain. So that was probably the meeting of the minds of two insane people. But other than that, I mean, he is a great coach. He's great at player development. He's great at individual development. And I think Roma is perfect. Napoli is perfect for him. Yep. I have Napoli in my top 4. I have. For sure. I even have them challenging for the title.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay. I think it's going to be tight. I don't see any team running away with it this year.
I think you know, the big thing with Spalletti is that divisiveness overweighs the good that he's done, right? Because everyone looks at, he's you know, set up things with, you know, Totti and Icardi and all these guys in the past, and so they look at that and not like at the good he's done with Brozovic and some of these other players that you're talking about. It seems always the negative outweighs the good, right? And Spalletti is a good manager. I mean, wherever he goes, he seems to do well, and he's one of those managers who can get off the ground running quickly, much like Conte, right? And so you'd expect Napoli to be in the mix. They got a solid team. It can keep Insigne. Osimhen's going to be up there in the goals this year. I mean, he was last year, and now he's got Spalletti in the perfect system almost. He's going to do well, I think. And I think Napoli are going to be prime for to do well this season. But it's so many good teams this year. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing. I mean, I look at Roma, and to me, that thing will either completely fall apart, or they might even push for the title.
It's shocking. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like way into February, like the Mourinho and that, like it's gonna be fireworks. And if he can channel that properly, Roma are gonna be difficult to beat. Lazio as well, really interesting. No, it's really tight. Those top 4 places are really tight. They're really, really tight. It's gonna be difficult. And there are 6-7 teams that can really push for those 4 places.
For me, Lazio is, you know, we always look at what team is going to probably take a step back before getting better, and I think Lazio is that team. They certainly still have a lot of quality there, but, you know, there is going to be a change in system. I mean, Sarri played, I think in his last friendly, he played 3 at the back. I don't know how often he's going to stick with that. His Napoli teams always played 4-3-3. You know, so
he did play a 4-3-1-2 at Empoli, which is how he got the Napoli job.
Sure.
And no, I think he's going to play. I think it's going to be rather fluid. I think he's going to start with a back 4, but he's going to allow Lazzari to. I mean, he wants a winger. It depends on what Lotito gives him and gets him. But I do expect them to hit that midfield. I mean, if they bring Basic and if they bring in Kostic, I mean those are excellent signings.
Sure.
For Lazio, and they will hurt. They will hurt teams. No, it's going to be tight. It's going to be really, really tight. We've never had a Serie A where you can make an argument for at least 3-4 teams can win the Serie A.
Sure.
I think you can make an argument that Atalanta can because of the fact that, it's a COVID season. Most big teams have not been able to strengthen. And therefore, if there ever is going to be a season for a surprise winner, it's this. And we know that Atalanta is one of the top teams in Europe. They consistently are. So they're no longer underdogs. Spalletti in Napoli, that team is built for him. If they get Palmieri over the line, they don't have any weaknesses on paper, at least.
Sure.
Juve, Allegri, we've already said. Inter, I mean, you can really argue this so many ways.
Sure.
And that's why I'm really careful to make a prediction before the Mercato closes, because I think this end, fine Mercato, is going to be crazy, frankly.
Yes.
Sure.
I think this is going to be the craziest fine Mercato that we've seen in a long time.
And I think you can make the case that Atalanta strengthened. I mean, you lose Romero, but I think they upgraded massively at goalkeeper with Juan Musso. And then getting Lovato and then also getting Demiral on loan from Juventus gives you.
But is that official now with Demiral thing? I've been zoned out a few days.
I'm showing that it is. Yeah, I'm showing that it is. Let me look.
I heard it was a loan. I don't remember all the details now, but I thought it was. But yeah, it's got to be an improvement there, and I think they're going to be consistent. Robin Gosens is already in fine form. You saw him; he did really well in the Euros. Seemed like all the Atalanta players did well in the Euros, right?
Yeah, Atalanta won the Euros. I mean,
oh my goodness! Yes. Oh my goodness!
If Mela transfers what he did for Denmark, it's.
I mean, exactly. I mean, just look at that. I mean, the Malinovsky, the other guy
Miranchuk.
from Russia. Yeah, Miranchuk, Malinovsky, Mele, Gosens. I mean, it was a festival of players.
Yep. So there's definitely plenty to work with. So you talk about in a time of COVID, I just thought I certainly want to throw in the point that Atalanta strengthened during this time of COVID and probably strengthened more so than other clubs that just they have it. I mean, you can just take a look at Milan. I mean, you look at their Mercato overall, it's okay. There's not a wow factor to it. We're not done yet, and Çalhanoğlu needs to be replaced, as you said, Nima. We'd like to see another winger.
Yes, to the right, because I mean, Selemakers. Look, I understand what he provides in terms of he's not a sexy player to look at, but he's a very loyal player in the sense that he gets you. He delivers. If last season, I think especially, you saw a lot of times how he was a player who consistently allowed space for Çalhanoğlu and Rebic to go forward and attack by simply, covering behind them. Him and Calabria on the right wing basically covered for Theo and Rebic on the other side and pushed in and cleaned up behind. But Milan can't. It's Milan. Milan can't have a right winger that. I mean, Zaccagni, I understood if they wanted to get him. He would have been ideal for that role because he's better than Selemakers.
I mean,
what Castillejo is doing there, y'all have to explain to me because it's above my pay grade.
we almost sold him to Getafe.
So close.
And then that collapsed. So we were.
They realized who they were getting. They're like, "Oh, wait, that's not who we wanted."
Getafe came to their senses.
So. Exactly, they did. Whoever was behind that sobered up or something.
Yeah. You look at Maldini's eyes, you'll say yes to anything, right? And then he laughed and like, "Wait a minute, what do we disagree to? What?"
Exactly.
Well, let's segue into the Mercato from all of that. I mean, we clearly are. This is going to be a great championship this season. We all agree to that. And now let's talk about the ones that have gotten over the line. And Richard, you go first. Let's talk. Who do you find to be? We always like to try to say. Last year it was Hakimi to Inter. The season before that was Lazzari to Lazio. Who is in house now that you think is probably the best fit for where they're going?
It's interesting, right? There's a lot of good moves right there. I mean, you gotta love Juan Musso to Atalanta. That's something that's a massive upgrade right there. And no disrespect to Golini. The project over at Roma is interesting to me because like Nima said, it could do really really well or it could just flop. Bringing in Tammy Abraham, bringing in Eldor, Matias Vigna, Rui Patricio is an upgrade, I think, and goalkeeper. I think they'll start out very well, but it's it's hard to say with Mourinho, right? Will he get his magic back, coming back to Serie A, or will it be much of the same the last, couple teams he's been on? It's hard to tell, really. Yeah, the best fit right now. I mean, I do love Giroud to Milan, no doubt about it. He's 34, but still, I mean, look.
It's an intelligent signing.
Yes, yes, they needed a striker. I mean, they could not put Leao as a striker this season, and backup while Zlatan is out injured. Yeah, it's hard to say. And also another one I like is Nicolas Gonzalez from Fiorentina. This guy from Stuttgart. I love what he did in the Bundesliga.
Stop reading my notes.
Am I? Okay, let me see. So I'll pick one. Man, so many picks. I am gonna say, yeah, it's hard.
If you want to say, go ahead and say Gonzalez. I mean,
I'm gonna go Juan Musso just right now. I'm gonna go Juan Musso. What he's gonna bring to Atalanta, I think, is stability back there. They're gonna have confidence now that when they do have the lapses in defense that they will, he's gonna be there to back it up. And quality goalkeeper has been for the last several years. When he gets lots of shots, he's there. If he's not gonna get shots, that's fine. I think it's gonna make Atalanta even more dangerous than they were before, because now they have stability and security in the back that they maybe didn't have before. So
sure. Nima, who are you liking that arrived in Serie A that you think, man, this is going to work out perfectly for them?
Well, Locatelli hasn't been done yet, so I can't say that. Otherwise, it definitely would have been him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that I think Patrick. I like Patrick Cutrone to Empoli. I like that move, and I hope they get Andrea Pinamonti as well, because if they do, I will be watching. I mean, every year I have this side hustle team that I follow extra closely for some reason or another. 2 years ago was Sandro Tonali at Brescia. Last season it was Hellas Verona with Ivan Juric, because I thought it was going to be really difficult given how they sold Amrabat and all these other players, and they did excellently. So this year is going to be Empoli. They have a young player, Ricci, midfielder, who I'm really interested to see how he goes. Yeah. And Cutrone there. And if they get Pinamonti, that's going to be a really interesting lineup. Lazio, I think, Felipe Anderson, I think, is finally, thank God he's back at Lazio. I think he never really did as well anywhere else than he did there.
Yeah.
But I think if we're talking I think Shomurodov is going to be the surprise for everybody. He's like the most Mourinho striker I've seen since Diego Milito in terms of his traits. I think he would fit into that team brilliantly. Yeah. I like what Udinese did in replacing Juan Musso with Marco Silvestri.
Yes,
goalkeeper I rate.
Sneaky good. That's a sneaky good one.
Yeah, that's what they do. They are sneaky. Pier Paolo Marino is a genius. So no, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But there's quite a few. But I think the biggest deals are going to be done. I think Locatelli to Juve, Emerson Palmieri to Napoli. Correa to Inter under Simone Inzaghi. I mean, there's a lot of good deals being done here. And we're hearing really low murmurs, but if Milan were to pull this rabbit out of the hat with Lorenzo Insigne going to Milan, that changes everything. We hear, Lorenzo Insigne and Ibrahimovic and that rest of them. I mean, that makes Milan top four by a mile. Like, to me, they're definitely in the top four then. Because with Ibrahimovic and then Rebic and the rest of them, and I also think Milan's struggle will come during AFCON, of course, because Benacer and Kessie. Kessie's now injured as well, so that means Sandro Tonali has to hit the ground running, and I think he will. I think that's another topic I wanted to talk to you guys about and hear what you think. I was annoyed last year by the criticisms aimed at Sandro Tonali, because I don't understand what people were expecting. Because this guy, well, he never was Pirlo. It was a Mezzala.
No, exactly.
Just because he looks like that and it's from Brescia, is like, stop it. Like, no,
exactly.
He's not. He's a Mezzala. He's not a regista. He has qualities that make him kind of a regista, but he's much more dynamic. But above all, last season, the 2 years before that, he played for Brescia, where he grew up in, and he'd only ever played 3 seasons of senior football. Then he goes to Milan. The step up from Brescia to Milan is massive. People don't understand the level of training, the level of preparation. I expected him to struggle. I really expected him to struggle, and I expected him not to play so much because this was a year for him to learn. And that's why, you know, they kept saying that Inter couldn't get him because they couldn't afford to have him on the back burner for a year, which is nonsense, because instead they got Arturo Vidal, who just didn't do anything other than just costing their qualification from the group stage of the Champions League, and then he scores a goal against Juve, and everyone says, "Oh, that's fine." It's nonsense. But no, I mean, for me, Tonali, I think now is the year. Now it's crunch time. This season is crunch time for him, because he will get his chances. He will, now that Kessie is injured next to Benacer, now he will play. And I hope that Pioli plays him. And I think it's important to see. I mean, the fact that Milan renegotiated that successfully and got him means that they want him and they believe in him.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I really like. This year I expect things from him. If he doesn't make it this year, then I'll accept it. But last season, I mean, I don't know, it was ridiculous for me.
And there's a psychology to being the man at a club, you know, to now being a number at a club, especially at a young age like that. You know, so there's that adaptation too. You know, and I think that takes some time. But yeah, he's going to have to step up. You know, to an extent. I would like to see Milan hang on to Pobega as well, because I mean, you don't have Benacer, you don't have Kessie. They go out to AFCON. You shatter that midfield depth, you know, for that period of time. So I would like to see Pobega stay, and that's also why Rade Krunic is going to have some kind of value to this team still, because he's going to be, you know, needed for a handful of appearances. So. You know,
this is why I think. Sorry to interrupt, but this is why I think Milan is such an exciting project, because of all this young stuff, all these young players. You know, Kjaer is the only. I mean, if we disregard Ibrahimovic, Giroud, and Kjaer, that's
young team. It's a
very young team.
Yeah.
I mean, last year they were like, of all the teams that finished top 4 in the top 4 leagues, they were the youngest by a mile.
Yes. Yes.
And this is what this. You know, this is smart. Young players don't command a lot of wages.
Right.
And Maldini and Ricky Massara have done this fantastically. Now, it's going to be interesting. Pobega, you have to keep him, because I really liked what I saw at Spezia.
Yep.
And if it's going to be really interesting. These players are going to get their shot, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Sure. I'll get into my transfers here real quick here, guys. Richard already said it. Nico Gonzalez of Fiorentina. I think is very intriguing when you consider, and you know, just to speak on Fiorentina a little bit, this was a dumpster fire in the offseason when Gattuso left, because for the reasons that he left, and Fiorentina is going. They could not have come out of this any better. Well, they probably could have, but to end up with Vincenzo Italiano as their manager, that ended up being a win for a team that's in the position that Fiorentina is in these days. Now, Nico Gonzalez, when I watched Italiano Spezia teams, I always rated the performances of the wingers. Giassi was good. Verdi, when he got his opportunities, was good. There's a couple of others, the names escape me. But, and then to your point, Richard, because you watch a fair amount of Bundesliga, and I watched a little bit as well for investment purposes, Gonzalez was very, very effective for Stuttgart. And I think that, you put him in the same role, you put him in a winger role, a position that Italiano seems to highlight when you look at his Spezia teams. He can shine. And it doesn't hurt to have a guy like now. The caveat: hang on to Vlahovic.
It's a big if.
And if you can hang on to Vlahovic, that's an attack that is going to give people some problems this season.
That midfield, I mean, Amrabat, Castrovilli, Pulgar. It's an Italiano. The way he plays is 4-3-3. Fiorentina also, like you said, there's so many good teams in this league. And it's good because I think the Serie A is starting to recover from its dark ages.
And Serie A is better when a club like Fiorentina is good and has upside and can
100%
and can be a threat. So, and then we were talking about Roma a little bit here. I'll give a nod to Rui Patricio. This has been Roma's best goalkeeper since Alisson. And I think that's going to make a lot of difference. I mean, Roma has been a punching bag for the other top teams in this league for the last 2 or 3 seasons. They've been easy to score on. They haven't looked organized. Whether that comes down to the tactics of the managers, and Paulo Fonseca, I somewhat agree with that, or just I can't remember the managers before him, EDF. Somebody constantly thinking that Federico Fazio is still good. You know, all of those things kind of came into play. And Roma, whenever it came up to them having to play somebody that could threaten them, that could score on them, they just fell apart. And I think that the presence of Mourinho, you know, at least the history of what he does tactically, with Rui Patricio in goal as well, I could see that being a lot better for Roma this season. Now, Mourinho has made a habit over the last several years of just burning out really quickly wherever he's gone. So we'll have to see what happens. But I just, you know, I wanted to kind of give some attention here to Rui Patricio joining Serie A. But for me, I think I'm excited to see what Gonzalez is going to do for Fiorentina. You know, Gonzalez, Vlahovic, and if Italiano can scrape anything out of what Callejon has left, that could get interesting. So, new managers. This is a
ton of them.
Even for Italy, this is crazy. 12 new managers to start the season. Napoli has Luciano Spalletti. Inter has Simone Inzaghi. Hellas Verona is giving Eusebio Di Francesco probably his last chance.
Lord help him.
Empoli went back to Aurelio Andreazzoli.
Yep.
Allegri back at Juve, Mourinho at Roma, Italiano at Fiorentina, Alessio Dionisi at Sassuolo coming over from Empoli, Roberto De Versa going to Sampdoria, Sarri at Lazio, Ivan Juric at Torino, and then Spezia for some reason wanted Thiago Motta. Nima, who relative to expectations, which manager has the best chance to exceed them? Which manager do you think is going to massively disappoint?
I think Thiago Motta is going to be an absolute disaster at Spezia.
Agreed.
I think Eusebio Di Francesco is going to get Hellas Verona relegated and will be sacked by Christmas, and hopefully that'll be the end of it.
No panettone for Di Francesco then.
No. Well, he'll be eating it alone.
Yeah, right.
Far from Verona, but no. But seriously, they're definitely gonna disappoint, or no, they're not gonna disappoint because I don't expect them to do well. So I guess they're gonna do what I expected them to do. No, I mean, other than that, what can I tell you? I think I'm worried about Pioli. I'm gonna say it. I'm really worried about Pioli. I worry how he's going to do. Can he repeat it? I don't know. And also, I don't know. It's just
if he doesn't start well, he's out. If he doesn't start well, he's out.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about a little bit. So yeah, no, I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah. Well, and if Milan, I mean, and that's the issue with the managers that are in place everywhere. If they do move on from Pioli, who's out there? I mean, that's the other thing that you gotta, that's the other thing that they're gonna be hamstrung here. Give Gattuso Gattuso 2.0 at Milan. I mean, there's not a lot to like as far as managers that might be available should they make that decision. Sheva is available, says Nathan Araya. We'll see. Richard, who's exceeding expectations for you? Who do you think disappoints?
Well, I think the surefire ones are going to be Allegri and Spalletti. I like what Vincenzo Italiano could bring to Fiorentina. I do like, I think that it's going to work really well together. As Nima said, Di Francesco and Motta are probably going to be surefire gone by, mid-season or whatever. I think Sarri and Mourinho will probably take longer to get to where they need to be than most people want. And I'm unsure about Alessio Dionisi because, what the previous manager was able to do there. He made this beautiful team, Sassuolo. They just play so wonderfully. They pass. They know each other so well. Mm-hmm. Does he continue that, or does he change the system completely and mess things up? That's that's a big thing for me. But of the managers, I think maybe Andrea Azzoli has a good opportunity here with some of the players that they brought in and familiarity too with the team. I think is good. Di Versa, I'm not so sure as well. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Italiano and Andrea Azzoli in terms of doing well. And I think, obviously, Motta and Di Francesco and maybe Dionisi has a little bit of step back, from Sassuolo. I hope not, because I think with the players that they have at his disposal are just amazing. So, yeah.
I think Eusebio Di Francesco should be lucky that Thiago Motta is at Spezia, because I think Thiago Motta is going to disappoint more than EDF is. I think that there's some talent at Hellas Verona that's going to make EDF look at least a little bit better than he is. So that's, I'm with you guys, and I'm with you on Italiano. I don't want to get into too much of a romance here with Fiorentina, but I really think under Italiano and with the team that they have in place, provided that they can stay healthy, I think Fiorentina can be a top half team this season. Now, I didn't say Europe, but I could see 8th, 9th being a reasonable place for Fiorentina to finish with what they've got. Now, they've got to keep Vlahovic, as we've said. They've got to keep things intact. They've got to stay healthy. But I think that there's a baseline of talent there. And, at least for sure the first 11 and then a handful of guys after that can get them in a position to do that. And, a lot of people raved about what Italiano did with Spezia last season. And now he has a project with, let's face it, he's got better players now. So let's see how this works out. It is probably Andrea Azzoli's 8th time back at Empoli, and the Calcio guys are the only ones keeping count. As far as the first one to get sacked, the guy that I think is not going to eat panettone, for sure, at least with the club that he's currently with. I'm going for low-hanging fruit here, but I think Fabrizio Castori at Salernitana will be the first one to get the sack. They're promoted. They're a great story, but I don't know if they've done enough to strengthen, to contend. I think that they're going to be in a relegation fight all season. And the other reasons that I have for this is that, when you're in a relegation battle, Italian football owners are not the most patient people. And on top of that, Castori doesn't seem to stick around very long anywhere that he goes. So for me, it's going to be Castori at Salernitana to be the first one to get the sack. Nima, how about you?
I think Di Francesco or Thiago Motta are getting the sack first.
Okay.
Undoubtedly. I think Salernitana are going to surprise people. I think people are going to be surprised. I think they're going to be one of those. For me, I have Hellas Verona and Spezia dead last.
Okay.
Then I think Salernitana are going to.
They've done good moves, good cheap moves, good free and cheap moves so far. So.
Okay. Richard?
I did when Thiago Motta joined Genoa a couple years ago. I looked into him, and it's very intriguing what he's trying to bring. The style of play he wants, and I understand it. It's beautiful if you have the right players. I don't think especially back when he was at Genoa, and certainly now at Spezia, he has that kind of players. I would love for him to do well, but I think he's gonna be the first one to go before even EDF. I think. I'm pulling for the guy, I really do, but I just don't see it working. And Spezia, can they survive again from what they after what they did last year? I don't know. And and it's certainly with Thiago Motta, with the uncertainty with him, it makes you even wonder even more. So I think he's going to be the first one to go.
Okay. Kind of moving on. Venezia, Empoli, Salernitana. Pick one to survive. Nima.
It was Salernitana, and then what?
Venezia, Empoli, and Salernitana, the 3 promoted teams. Which one has the best chance of survival?
I think Salernitana and Empoli.
Okay.
I think both of them. I think Venezia will struggle, but Empoli for sure. I think will survive. Again, I think Hellas and Spezia are crashing out, like badly. So I think the by virtue of them sucking is why the others will survive. Then it's down to the last 3, and I think Venezia will struggle.
Okay, Richard.
I'm with Nima a little bit there. I think Salernitana will be the best of the three. I think between Empoli and Venezia, you're gonna see who's gonna survive and who's not. I think two out of the three is gonna survive. And it's gonna be between Empoli and Venezia to survive. I would love Venezia to stay up because their kits are beautiful. It's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful team. All that stuff. But I don't know. They haven't made enough moves for me to really like them as much. And Empoli, they've done a little bit more, I think. So I'm gonna go Salernitana is gonna be the one that survives, and probably Empoli as well.
All right, well, then I'm going to be the romantic here just for the discussion, just for the debate, and I'm going to say Venezia stay up. I'm just going to bang the drum. We got a couple Americans on that team.
Yeah.
Gianluca Busio, Tanner Tessman.
Yep.
David Okereke, I saw a little bit of in Champions League playing for Club Bruges. He's a capable goal scorer now. They're replacing, and the name escapes me, who they had playing up front for them last season that helped get them up. But Okereke getting in there as a goal scorer. And Mattia Caldara coming over there, it's strange. There's one of those guys that just was littered with so much potential and just hasn't lived up to it. Has had injury problems, is not, I have FIFA 2018 on PlayStation 3, and if you play it long enough, he's rated like an 85 or an 86. Oh, how wrong they were. But I'm just gonna bang the drum for the little guy here and say Venezia stays up. Just because with the Americans in the team, a couple of these guys haven't been. There's not a whole lot of knowledge about these guys, but I said the same thing about Spezia. I said, who are these guys? And I thought they were going to finish 20th last season, and they stayed up. So it can be hard to predict, but I'll just for the sake of being different from you guys, I'll go for Venezia to stay up.
All right.
All right. Capocannoniere pick. I got it right 2 years ago. Last year, Ronaldo wasn't. Last year, if Ronaldo wasn't around, I would have gotten it right because Lukaku was second.
Yeah.
I can't. It's been popular and everybody's saying it over the summer, but I can't get away from it. I think Victor Osimhen's winning Capocannoniere this season. I just think with Spalletti's system, I think with the way they attack. Now the caveat with him, he has to stay healthy. He had injury issues last season, but the one thing we always talk about. Strikers in particular coming over to Serie A from another league, unless you're Romelu Lukaku, it takes you a good season to get acclimated to the league, the tactics, the culture, the language, and all that other stuff. And then usually you see these guys thriving by season 2. You can say that about Dzeko. You can say that about a handful of other guys. And I think that Osimhen has had that first season, spent much of it injured. He stays healthy this season, and I think that he leads Serie A in scoring. I'm going to put him at 28 goals. I think 28 goals takes it down this year.
Okay.
Nima, how about you?
I had him as well. He's my guy as well. I have him around 25, 26 goals.
Okay.
Something. I think Lautaro's gonna. I think Ronaldo's gonna be there, but I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think he's gonna become Capocannoniere, but I think he'll be up there. And I think Shomurodov is gonna score some 20 goals as well.
Okay.
Interesting.
Richard.
Yeah, interesting. I think Cheeto's going to be up there as well. I think he's bound to have at least close to 20 goal season. I like the names that you guys have mentioned. But since I want a little bit of diversity in this chat here, I'm going to go with CR7. I think Ronaldo did it last year. He's going to get 25 plus goals. I think. I don't like the fact that it's under Allegri because Allegri tends to be more conservative and doesn't. He believes in the shape more than letting people go out and get their goals. So, but I think CR7 is going to get his as well. Probably a lot of penalties as well, right? But I'm gonna go CR7. I'm gonna say 27 goals.
Okay. 28, 27, 25. Nima and I have got Osimhen. Richard has got Ronaldo. Way to go put yourself out there, Richard.
That's what I do.
Well, you did. Last year you did with Duvan Zapata.
I did.
So.
And that failed miserably. So I'm going to go with someone else this time.
All right. These teams aren't finalized yet. We don't have the window hasn't closed yet. But based on the way things are, and based on how these clubs are currently structured, Richard, will start with you. Give me your top 4 and give me your bottom 3.
Okay. Yeah, because lots of things can happen between now and the end of Mercato. I'll give you my bottom 3 first. I'm with Nima in terms of Spezia coming in dead last. I think EDF at Hellas is a shit show waiting to happen. So that they're 19th, and I'm gonna go Venezia at 18. I think Empoli just doing a little bit more this transfer window than Venezia, but I hope all three stay up. This is difficult for me. In terms of the Mercato, and I'm probably on my own, maybe at least in this chat. In terms of the best so far this Mercato, I think Roma and Milan have been the best so far in my eyes, and that could be very biased. But doesn't mean I'm making Roma in my top four. My top four, and this is very difficult for me, and this could change with a signing of a player here and there. But my top four, number 4 at present. I'm going to go. This is tough for me. Inter. I'm going to go Inter number 4. Number 3, I am going to go Atalanta. Number 2, I am going to go Allegri and Juventus, and I'm going with the homer pick of Milan winning the Scudetto this year, with the additions that they've made and the consistency of some of the players they have.
Oh, you really? Yeah. Now you're putting yourself out there. Okay, you've got. You got to take off those red and black contacts. At least and I'm a Milan supporter, and I'm telling you that. So
I got it right with Inter last year, right? So we'll see.
All right, well, that I guess we got that going for us. Nima, your top 4 and your bottom 3, and I understand. And now listen, we all once the Mercato closes, we all get to go on Twitter and change it.
Thanks. I was going to say, because
we're not.
I mean, usually I'm very conservative when it comes to the Mercato, but this year
Correct.
I think a lot is going to happen by deadline day, like
I agree.
in all teams. So I think this is basically as things are today. And as things are today, I have Spezia dead last, Hellas 19th, and I have Venezia 18th.
Okay.
I have Empoli as my surprise team of the season. I think they're going to do pretty well. And I think Salernitana are going to end up around 15th, 16th place. I think 2 of the 3 make it. As for the top 4, as things are today, Juve champions, Inter 2nd, Atalanta 3rd, Napoli 4th, Milan 6th, Roma 5th, Lazio 7th. But I mean, it won't be that many points separating. I mean, it's
going to be tight, very tight.
It's going to be very tight. I don't think we'll see it like last season where a team runs away with it. I think it's going to be between 1 and 2 is going to be somewhere like 3-4 points. I think between 3, the other place is going to be between 6 points, 6-7 points. I think it's going to be tight as hell.
Yep. All right, so my bottom 3, I'm with you guys on Spezia. I've got them 20th. Just the second season syndrome. It happens to teams. They'll be victim of that. I have Salernitana 19th, and I have Empoli 18th. I think that I hear your points about Di Francesco and Hellas Verona. But much like the situation with Cagliari last season, where Di Francesco nearly screwed that up, they got him out of there. They rescued it with Simplici. I could see Hellas Verona doing the same thing. And I think that they still have enough quality there to avoid that happening.
Well, who do they bring in? Do they bring in Claudio Ranieri then? Or, like, who do they bring in? Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, for me, I don't want to see Di Francesco in this league anymore.
No.
Like, yeah, I'm done with him. I'm finished.
Especially if he fails now, and don't bring him back.
I expected him to fit beautifully at Cagliari when he was appointed last season, and he just...
Yeah. No, I knew he was going to fail. Like, this guy is awful.
Yeah.
He's awful. Like, he's not a coach. He's. I mean, if you look at what he did at Sassuolo, it's because Sassuolo is a well-run club and it's had good players. At Roma, he did one good thing, which was that magical game against Barcelona, and then that's it. Other than that, it was just a complete shit show. Mm-hmm. And Cagliari was just Jesus. I think Semplici completely saved their asses, and I'm glad he was allowed to continue. I think he deserves it. And I'm glad that Ballardini's at Genoa starting the season there.
Yep.
So I think that's good for them. And one thing I do like about, just as a side note about Atalanta is if they get rid of Duvan Zapata and he goes to Inter, I like the replacement being Andrea Belotti. And I like that they're going after Zappacosta to replace Hateboer, who's injured. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just fits so well. Yeah. And
everything they do is right.
It's just so right. They're so well run.
Yeah.
So well run. As my colleague on the Italian Football Podcast, Carlo, says, pound by pound, pound for pound the best run club in the world.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable how well run they are, and I think Belotti there would just be insane.
Nima, you and I have the same top four currently as things stand. Mine's a little different. I have Napoli fourth under Spalletti. I have Inter third. I have Atalanta finishing second, and then I have Juve as my favorite to win the title. Yeah. But your 5, 6, and 7 is exactly the same as mine. I've got Roma sitting fifth right now, Milan sixth, Lazio seventh. As I said earlier, I think the team that everybody should keep close watch for is Fiorentina. I think eighth, ninth is extremely realistic for how they're set up, for how they're managed.
I got them ninth.
And it will not stun me if they are, fighting for whatever this conference thing that UEFA invented, that they could possibly contend to be a part of that, or maybe even snatch a Europa League place. If they do that, it would not surprise me. Now, all of this hinges again on you better keep Vlahovic. Otherwise, you're suddenly putting yourself into making some reinforcements. So Fiorentina is a team that I think you're going to watch out for. We've talked at length about Spezia and Hellas Verona and how they're going to really struggle this season. I think Udinese is going to struggle a little bit this season. I had them on my notes as a team that's going to struggle. Silvestri's solid. I rate Musso a little bit better. They've, in my opinion, not adequately displaced Rodrigo De Paul. I don't think anyone expected them to, but with what's left there, you could see them languishing around at the bottom. And I worry about will Sampdoria buy into Diversa as manager? That's another one that I'm going to keep a close eye on here in the opening weeks of the season. Diversa did great in his first stint at Parma, and then he left, and then Liverani completely screwed Parma up to the point where Diversa couldn't rescue it. And now he's getting the opportunity to replace Ranieri at Sampdoria. That one is going to be one that I'm going to keep a close eye on. How do Sampdoria respond to his style, to how he wants to play? So those are our top fours. Those are our bottom threes. We do get to change them once the Mercato closes. It's totally based on how the squads are currently structured. And finally, what people really listen to us for these days, Nima, the world's most popular hashtag game, Who Won Calcio Twitter. This is your first go at Who Won Calcio Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll lead us off. It was at Ali Roversi on August 1st. This was the 100-meter dash that Bukayo Saka couldn't win because Chiellini was pulling him back. So
that was really good.
Yep, that was clever on the part of Alessandra. So, Richard, what's the next one?
All right. Next one was obviously, Lukaku leaving for Chelsea. So Omar at Alessio Tackle says he really trained with Calhanoglu for a week and said, fuck it, I'm not doing this.
I like that one.
That was brilliant.
At Stefchenko at Steph_Sartori. Breaking news: Inter will be selling half of this mural to Chelsea. They can no longer afford the rent on the wall. Graffiti art is still awaiting payment. Ibrahimovic has offered to pay for their half as long as Lukaku is replaced with Calhanoglu. Talks ongoing.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's good. All right. Let's see. Oh, here we go. His next one. All right, next one comes from at Napolissimo. I can't even speak right now. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm just too much beer right now.
God.
The admin of the Juventus women account is Leo Bonucci. We know what happened this summer with the women's account, but Leo Bonucci.
You see what I like that account. The thing I like about that account is that he always gets the point across, but he doesn't use that many words.
Yes.
No.
He goes to town.
Yep.
Completely on anyone and everyone, but he doesn't. But it's just so short and concise, and it's always like laugh out loud, hold yourself, try not to pee your pants. Funny, like that is that's hilarious.
And the picture is great.
I mean, it's genius. It's absolutely genius.
Favo at Inter Philly chimes in with at EA Sports FIFA. a game between Bergamo Calcio and Latium. Am I a joke to you?
That's funny.
Oh, let me make sure I can read this. All right. Comes from at Arsenal. Anoop says, MFers want Juventus to sign Messi so Ronaldo and Messi can play together. Meanwhile, Juventus on the Locatelli deal change.
Oh, man.
That is good. That's good.
Rohit Rajiv at Carolista. Hakan goes to Inter, and with a month, 2 of Inter's best players of Inter leave. Best thing he's done for Milan in 4 years.
Oh, okay. Let's see what we got here. All right. So Toro Season says, Jesus, if you actually think we're in trouble, you have major problems. And then what is the original tweet? Let me see here. Let me go back. So the original tweet was from at Sites Milan. Says, Inter is in big trouble. Their fans must be gutted. They will win their first Scudetto in the first 10 plus years, and they most likely will have to force sell every blah, 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 blah. And says, Jesus, if you actually think we're in trouble, you have major problems. And then the guy just smiles. Oh, Napoli Sansone, of course. He just smiles.
Napoli, yeah.
Not bad.
Napoli Sansone. He's won once, hasn't he?
He has.
He's gotten multiple efforts close, but all right, Alessio Tackle can't get up this Hakan topic. He went to Inter and everyone run away.
Oh my God.
Pick on the champions today.
The thing is, that he's going to score against Milan in the derby.
He probably will.
He probably will.
You know that, right?
A goal and assist at least.
Yeah. No, he's going to. I don't know if he's going to win or not. I mean, it's way too soon to speak about the derby, but he's going to score.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to score in the derby. Like, the derby logic is that Ibrahimovic always scores on Inter, and someone of your old guys comes back and bites you in the ass.
Yep.
That's just the derby logic.
Yep.
So after all his moves at Inter, Fede Nerazzurra says, Gagliardini's happy at Inter too. Why don't you come and get him? Trying to get rid of Bobby Gaggs, I guess.
Bobby Gaggs.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is another one.
Let's see. Okay.
What's that?
All right. Info4_ Milanisti. Hakimi leaves Inter. Lukaku soon. Hakan Çalhanoğlu right now.
No one wants to play with me.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay. Let's see what we got here. This is more for our Montreal Inter fans. As Milan fans, we have been through this before. Nevertheless, we have never had an actual grocery store named after what is happening. L'Inter Marche.
That's funny.
Let's see here. Tancredi Palmieri replying to win_confidante. It's pretty self-explanatory.
What does it say?
It's you've just died. The 6th photo in your phone gallery is what killed you.
It's Inter soon.
Inter's ownership.
All right, let's see. This one comes from at Arham FCB. It says, bro, Matteo, man's playing games on his phone. That's too much. Martino.
What is it, man's playing games on his mom's
his mom's phone while his dad is in tears.
Was that when Messi was saying goodbye to Barcelona?
Yeah.
His kid was just on the phone the whole time?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, gosh. Let's see. All right. At BJ_Mac19. Everyone who plays at Inter this season.
With your broke ass.
Ladies, may we get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
For those who couldn't hear, it says, hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
That's hilarious.
That's up there. That's a contender.
All right. This one comes from Simone at Simos29. Says, Juan Cuadrado highlights against Inter 3-2. It just... Well, this person's going to fall down right here. Cuadrado. Just falls down, faking it.
Oh,
acting like someone touched him.
I love the cop just walking around.
Yeah.
At Napolitano, guy talking to a girl in the club. So after not qualifying for 2018 World Cup, everyone wrote us off. Then we go and absolutely destroy the group stage. And people told us we didn't face anyone good yet. So then we knock out Spain and Belgium and then beat England in Wembley. Anyway, my name's not.
She's like,
So good.
All right, let's see. That's you. Oh, here's another one. Let's see what we got here. Okay, my fall plans is winning the Scudetto with like a Nesta back there, and then the Delta variant for Renzi and the Bonsai. That comes from Sean McIntosh.
Yeah. Art Morelli's done some damn good ones this week.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Speaking of the devil.
Oh, and his first entry of the season. My plans. It's coming home. Delta variant.
Donnarumma.
The Donnarumma save.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
All right, this one comes from finally case. My thought plans is Mr. Tevez, the Delta variant. Matri.
Sandro Matri.
That's it.
That's it. All right. Nima, as our distinguished guest, we're going to give you the honor of picking the first winner of Who Won Calcio Twitter of the season.
I think it has to be Napoli.
So you can't even say it either.
Napoleonismo. That was just it was.
All right.
It's so wrong on so many levels, and that's why it's so funny. And he literally only used 6 words. It's just so bad, and it's so funny. It's so incredibly funny. It was between him and Alessio's tackle, the one about Lukaku trained 1 week with
They're fucking I'm done.
Fucking I'm done.
I like that one. That one.
Yeah, that'd be correct.
No, those two are objectively the funniest two. Hilarious, but they were all good.
Yeah,
they were really, I really like the Saka one as well. The guy in the 100-meter dash one. It was really fun. Oh Jesus! Yeah, but the admin of the event is women account. Oh, that guy is just too much, man. Oh Jesus!
All right, I'll just tag all you guys in this retweet, and we should be set. So Napoleonismo is our first winner of the season for Who Won Calcio Twitter.
Pretty crying.
This is going to this might. I mean, since we started doing this I expect Who Won Calcio Twitter to be insane pretty much every week. So,
oh yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane, and it's funny. It's really really funny. Yeah. I mean, there were some really good ones in there.
Some of the heavy hitters didn't even participate. So I mean, once they get started, oh my goodness! Wait till season starts.
Big Show.
The twins.
Saturnian and Perisnich. None of them were on the board yet. We have yet to hear from them. So so that's
he did one. He invented a meme, like the one with the D'Ambrosio one, and then. Did you see it like this week? I don't know if somebody.
Oh no, I didn't see it. No,
it was.
Perisnich did.
Yeah, it was just the one with death goes into like.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I should have tagged that. Damn, you're right. I did see that.
That was that's just him at his best.
Yeah. Uncle Sharma's another one too, obviously. So.
Yeah, the one with the one he put today with Declan Rice. I mean, I was scream laughing at that.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god, that was so funny. No, but I mean, it has to be Calcio Twitter. But yeah, no. There's going to be some good ones here. You can. I'm just a little bit disappointed now that Art has a job because he's not going to be, now that he's not unemployed anymore. It's not going to be the content is going to like.
Maybe we can make some calls to his boss so that he gets fired and so he can do more.
Or like he has like a 4. Or if he can have like a 4-day weekend or something.
There you go.
I think Art will still come around.
Yeah, he's still Art. Yeah. He's still Arturo.
He's still Art. All right. Well, with that, I think it's time we put a bow on this edition of Serie Sit Down. Nima, you plugged at the beginning. If you want to plug again for our listeners, anything you want to share with everyone here, take it away.
Well, I mean, if you want to follow us, the Italian Football Podcast at ItaFootPod on Twitter, SemperInter.com or .com if you're an Inter fan, and if you want to follow me at NimaTavROOD. Thanks.
Awesome. And Richard, anything to plug this week?
Yeah, well, first, I want to thank the Calcio Connection for having me on last week. It was a lot of fun. We did a little Milan breakdown, talk about the Mercato so far. And then, I'm going to plug our merchandise. Both I'm wearing it and Frank, you're wearing it as well. Go to teespring.com/Serie Sit Down and grab some merchandise. It'll help the podcast out. We'll redistribute all the money, anything we get towards the podcast. So, definitely give that a look. And then, as always, you can follow me at @R_KHARMAN.
Awesome. You can find me at FTC_21. Serie A Sit Down, we have our own channel on Apple Podcasts. Gosh, I got to do that. I haven't done this in a couple months. SoundCloud. We're on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Wherever you can find podcasts, you can find Serie A Sit Down. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook as well. Are we on any other social media that I don't know about, Richard?
TikTok, Instagram. That's about, yeah.
All right. We're just as long as we're not on Tinder.
No promises.
You might be.
That would be funny. If you were on Tinder, I would laugh a lot. I would fucking laugh my ass off if you guys promoted the podcast on Tinder.
Somebody's going to put a burner account of Serie A Sit Down on Tinder now.
Hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
Well, I got the rest of the afternoon. I know what I'm doing.
Apologizing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at FTC_21 on Twitter, by the way. You can follow me there. So buckle up. It's going to be a hell of a ride here this season. The teams are stronger. The league is, despite some of these, the departures, the league is stronger. The quality of football is going to be there. And, to Nima's point, the Mercato here over the next couple of weeks, we haven't heard the end of it. Sure. It's going to be a great season. Covering it. Looking forward to seeing how these teams come out next weekend. Nima, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure
for joining us, and we'll make sure the time between the 4th and 5th appearance is a lot shorter. So
for sure,
and definitely get you maybe get you on for a Derby recap, depending on what your schedule allows or something. Something along those lines.
Let me know.
Awesome. So with that, for Richard, for Nima, I'm Frank. As always, tell your paisans about us. Ciao.